irony is rather comical here, as I show you guys what a sticker that says, "Handle with care, delicate instruments, fragile." FedEx basically gave me the... So we're gonna open this up and just hope that a package that's shipped from Norman, Oklahoma to Kansas City, Missouri. Let's put that on a map. Look at the distance. FedEx literally couldn't refrain from damaging the box. So let's just make sure our telescope is intact. Here we go. This is going to be the unboxing of the Astro-Tech 80mm EDT. So unfortunately, FedEx does not take very good care of the packages. And it's not even like it traveled across the world, right? Like if this went from maybe California to here, I get it. We're talking just one state over. For God's sakes, they touch borders. All right. So this is covered with peanuts. And the first thing that we have here is going to be the tech card. So thank you for choosing this triplet. And we have all of our specs here, and it's going to, that's going to be my invoice. We'll put that to the side. So we just look here and it gives you some visual observing instructions, but we'll just set this over here to the side. And now move the peanuts over and see if we can do this without spilling these, just because they're a pain to pick up. I don't think we're going to be able to do it. Just put them in a small pile here, and then I can sweep them off when I'm done. Alright, so I can see there is a dent in my package inside of here. Let's hope that's not from the shipping. So we get some of these little stragglers off. Alright, so let's do here. Sweep these off here. And we'll pick up these last couple afterwards. Alright, so we'll cut these. Set that over. Alright, so you can see there's actually a pretty good indentation right here. And you can see that the box gave in there, but I guess as long as there's packaging inside of here, we should be fine as well. Spin it around. Oh yeah, we'll be good. I actually forgot that this one comes in a hard-sided case. Now, let it be known, not every telescope you buy, especially from the big manufacturers, necessarily come with a really nice hard-sided case. If you just take a quick inspection of it, there's actually no indentions on this. Alright, yeah, no indentions or anything on this, so we should be good with this. So let's go ahead and open it up and see what we've got. So as you can see, it is an 80mm triplet. It is in a package here to keep dust and whatnot and static off of it. So let's go ahead and take it out. Just put it in the bag. And get the focuser out here safely. There we go. Alright, so I'll set this to the side. I'll set this down. And now we'll take this apart here and take a look at what we've got. right, so you can see this is actually an incredibly small telescope, but it is an incredibly powerful one. It does have a sliding dew shield that you can see right out of the beginning here. We take the cap off. We're going to take a look inside at our optics. Look here. So being a triplet, one thing that you're going to notice right out of the gates is obviously it's going to tell you that it's an apochromatic triplet here, but it's very, very heavy right up here in the front, and that's because there's 3 lenses in the front as opposed to a double. It's only got 2, right? So it's going to be a little bit heavier in the front, which is fine because once we put a camera on the back, boop, it'll balance out. So the optics look really clean on this. There's not even a speck of dust on this. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and put this cover back over it. And now we're gonna slide this open so we can see everything that we've got with this scope. So on the bottom, we do have a Vixen style dovetail plate. You can swap this out for something much larger. That way you can put your mini PC or something on there. You do have a universal standard dovetail here. Something like the ASI Air could mount right up here very easily. One of the benefits with these ring systems are it does have ring holes in the top that will allow you to put another dovetail on the top where you can top mount something. Maybe you want to double stack telescopes, you could do that, or you could put another plate up top, and that way you could mount a mini PC or a guide scope. If maybe you don't want it back in the back, whatever you want, you can put it right up here on top. I'm gonna spin it around here really quick just so we can take a look here. It does have this nice feature where if you do want to take them out, you just untighten them until they can fall down, and then that way you can actually open this up and move this around as necessary. Sometimes what I find is once I've added something like my camera, which is the ASI 2600mm Pro from ZWO, that with a filter wheel with an off-axis guider, which I always leave it on. Even with this telescope, I'll probably just leave it, because then you got to refine your focus points with your off-axis guider, and it's just so much easier if I just plug and play. Now, given this focal length, I might have to use a guide scope because the pixel size with the ASI 174mm Mini is likely going to be way too big for this particular telescope. So I'll have to look at that. I might have to use a guide scope, which I personally have a William Optics Uniguide 50mm telescope, which means I would have a guide scope that is almost as large as the actual imaging scope, but its optics here are going to be obviously way better. So let's seal this up, and these just pull right back over the lip, and then you just tighten them down. You don't want to over tighten them, there's no need to, just to make sure they're snug, because they're not going to go anywhere. Even though this is just finger tight, you can see it's not going anywhere. All right, so the glass that's in here is the FPL51 extra low dispersion glass. Now it's probably not rated as the highest quality in the world. I'll actually go see if I can't get a comparison with the other ones and maybe put that over here over my shoulder, just for you to see which one's rated as like the best. But I know people that have had this telescope and they've had wonderful results. Now this telescope is incredibly light at only 6.5 pounds. So this could really, it's probably too big for, say, a Star Venture or something like that, like an actual tracker. You will likely need a small equatorial mount to really get the most out of this. So then when we look at the focuser, it is a stock focuser. Now I've actually had really good luck with just leaving the stock focuser on when I had my Astro-Tech 115 or 115 EDT. This is a 2.5 rack and pinion, 10-to-1 reduction. And you can see that over here onto this side. If you look in, you have your coarse focuser here, and then you can see your fine focuser right here to give you that dial in really nice focus whenever you get to that point. You might use a Batnoff mask, or maybe you use the electronic focuser. I usually just use one of the screws out of the bottom here. So this is typically your locking screw. So I typically will just take it out, and then I can just let my EAF run the show. Now if you do see in the back here, you do have This bottom one is going to be for the compression ring on the 1.5 inch adapter. If we lock that back down to keep some pressure on the cap, we can then unlock these 3 outer ones, which will allow you to remove your 1.5 inch adapter. Obviously save this. You're going to need it whether you sell it or maybe one day you want to use visual for an eyepiece. You can put that right in there. And then now you have your 2-inch compression ring. You might be able to see it in the side here. That way when you tighten these down, you get a really nice even clamp all the way through. And then inside, eventually you're going to actually get to the 3 elements of glass with that. So what we will do is put this back in though, keep dust out. Keep dust out of this imaging train for at least as long as we can. So up here you're going to see a screw that kind of is all by itself. This is actually going to be the screw that allows you to do the rotating. So when you undo the screw, you can now grab it. There's kind of teeth in this particular ring here, and it will allow you to swivel as you need. So you can mess with that. Once you get your imaging train in, you might not want to actually undo it. You might just want to rotate it, but an easy way to do that, undo this screw here and just simply rotate it until you get the rotation or orientation in your camera that you're looking for the target that you are going to image. Once you're done, just simply lock that back down. Just do finger tight. You don't need to over tighten it by any means. You can actually just give it a little bit of a snug. Once it catches, just let go and maybe give it a tiny more turn, and you can see it's not going to actually move at that point. With this focuser, you can actually see that it goes out a very extensive length up to, it looks like 93 millimeters. Yeah, it looks like it goes up to 93 millimeters here of tube travel. You're not going to need that much unless you use like Barlow's. Now, if you're new to refractor type telescopes, and a lot of times people don't know the difference between a refractor and a reflector, refractors use lenses like glasses here. These are going to refract light accordingly to give me focus at the point that I need them. And then a reflector is going to use mirrors to then get focus as opposed to lenses. So refractor telescope here, again, 80 millimeters of total aperture, 480 millimeters stock. Now you can get a 0.8 time reducer flattener for this. So if you're new to refractors at all from an imaging perspective, because you do have a glass lens on the edges, they typically start to bend a little bit, and because of that, your stars will actually go from pinpoint circles to slight comets, and you need to use at least a field flattener. That's another element, or maybe 2, that actually changes it so you don't have those stars that kind of start to trail off because your glass is rounds off on the edges. It actually makes it completely flat, so you have the flattest possible image, and therefore your stars should be really nice. You do also have the option of adding a 0.8 time reducer for this. You could also do something like the 0.65 reducer from Starizono with their Apex short. That might be a little too wide for me, but a 0.8 is going to take you down to around 380 millimeters of focal length, which is going to actually really frame you up nicely for targets like Andromeda, maybe the Heart and Soul Nebulas, right? Your larger nebulae. And it will also do fantastic work when you get to Orion. So why did I pick the triplet? And that's actually a really easy one to answer. The easiest way to explain why this has 3 elements of glass and a doublet only has 2, but I didn't pick a doublet, I picked a triplet, is because there's essentially three colors of light that allow us to see objects, right? And it's a combination of those 3 colors that allow us to identify something as a green screen, or this is white and this is gray, right? It's the combination of those 3 primary colors. But those 3 primary colors, when they hit these lenses, don't focus at the same point. What these lenses do is they properly correct for RGB, or red, blue, green, or excuse me, red, green, blue. And what they do is they get their focus point to one pinpoint, as opposed to red and green are here and blues up here, right? We need them all to hit the sensor at the same spot. So a doublet will get 2 of those there, but then there will be one that's just slightly off. So your colors could be just a little incorrect effectively. You don't get this with a reflector because it's reflecting light exactly as it hits it, whereas this is going to condense light down, right? It's refracting it down to a single point. And that point is very important for those colors to properly align at that point, and that's why I picked a triplet. I used to have a William Optics Z73, which is a doublet apochromatic telescope. It is a wonderful telescope for narrowband. You're usually okay. You're not too worried about the colors not being spot on, but when you get to broadband targets, you can actually see it. Plus, you're going to see a little bit of star bloat. With a triplet, you're not going to have those problems. These are going to be nice pinpoint stars, and your colors are going to focus at the exact same point with this particular type of telescope with a triplet. So with that, I just wanted to do an unboxing today. I appreciate you guys sticking along. If you have questions or experience with this particular telescope, don't be bashful. Let me know down below what you like and dislike about this. I am going to start using this for targets that are a little bit wider in the night sky, coupled with my APS-C size sensor. I don't have my focal reducer yet, as many of them are on back order, thanks COVID. With that, I will give a performance review later once I've had a chance to put a few images into it. I need obviously some data to work with so I can show you on the computer what the stars look like, how they align, and then what kind of results even you could get at home with this particular telescope. And look, this doesn't need something like the Sim 70 mount. This could be just a simple equatorial mount that has the ability to track with 10 pounds or less. Again, I think it's probably too big, too much work for a star tracker. Plus, you really need your declination axis, which some of those star trackers really they don't have. So something like a Skywatcher would do a wonderful job. I'll put some of those links down below that if you're interested in a telescope this size or even this telescope, I'll send you a link to that. But at the same time, I'll give you a recommendation for a mount at a minimum that you can get under $1,000 US that can easily track with this particular telescope. So with that, thank you so much for joining, guys. Clear skies, and we'll see you next time.